In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a personal brand that's going to allow you to scale business like you've never seen before. In case we haven't met before, my name is Matt Diggity. I'm the founder of Diggity Marketing, LeadSpring, the Search Initiative, the Affiliate Lab, Diggity Links, Authority Builders, and the Chiang Mai SEO Conference. And I can tell you one thing for sure. None of this would have been possible without building a trusted personal brand. I fell into it by accident. Back in the day, all the cool SEO kids used to hang out in a forum called SourceWave. It was there where I met a dude named Jason who later became my business partner for an agency. He would handle the fulfillment, I would handle the marketing. Huh? Wait a second. How was I supposed to do that? I didn't have any experience with marketing. Well, I figured step one was to create a website to attract eyeballs to the service. And thus DiggityMarketing.com was born in this ridiculously embarrassing state. And then I started publishing blog posts sharing interesting stuff I was learning by cracking Google's algorithm. Eventually it started taking off and I was featured on sites like Forbes, the New York Times, and Inc.com. But the thing is, today, building a personal brand is 100 times easier. There's platforms like Twitter, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts that want you to go viral. The better you do, the better they do. For example, I got over 100K subscribers here on YouTube, and I only really started a couple of years ago. There's a process to this whole thing, and in this video, I'm going to share all the secrets with you. And trust me, in this coming age of AI, personal branding is going to become the most powerful form of marketing as people increasingly crave humanity in their interactions. But real quick, if you appreciate content like this, let me know by dumping some love on the like button. Whenever I take a break from being an SEO YouTube monkey, my videos get less views. So a simple like button smashing lets me know to produce more on topics like this. Now, in case there's any confusion, let's define what actually is a personal brand. It's your story, how you're different than everyone else, but most importantly, your reputation, what people say about you when you're not in the room. And all this adds up to an indication of the value that you bring with your products and services. If you have a personal brand centered on integrity, people know that you'll get the job done. If you're a flaky bum, then people won't want to do business with you. Now the thing is, you already have a personal brand. Are you on the internet? Do you at least have a Facebook profile? Then you have a personal brand. It may not be where you want it to be, but this video will get you there. Now, what are the benefits of a personal brand? The first is for marketing. Whatever you're selling will sell easier. People connect to people way more than they do companies. This gin business was sold for $610 million. How did it get so popular? Because of this guy. Ryan Reynolds, aka Deadpool, used his personal brand to grow it. His brand brought trust, likability, and credibility to the product. Personal brands also allow you to launch new businesses on easy mode. Businesses you launch start on year 3 instead of year 1. When I first launched Authority Builders, we did $94,000 in the first month. And let's say you're not the entrepreneurial type. You prefer to work for others. The amount of job opportunities you'll have skyrockets. Kevin Indig has a great personal brand in the SEO space. Just look at his LinkedIn resume. Riverside, Angel Investments, Feedly, Forbes, Shopify, G2, Atlassian. That's nuts. Speaking of angel investments, with a personal brand, you leverage what's known as smart equity. Instead of taking 100% of the financial resource with cash, you offer your knowledge and resources instead. I personally had some great smart equity opportunities with both Surfer and Bloom. Other opportunities include networking and access to people that you wouldn't have had access to before. Then there's free shit. There's tons of software tools that I don't have to pay for. But the most important benefit going forward is differentiation in the world of AI. I'm placing a big bet on personal branding to become 10x as important in years to come. Now, I want to give you fair warning. Not all is peaches and sunshine when starting a personal brand. Ever dealt with haters? These comments are super typical. You'll eventually develop some thick skin, but some are gonna sting. Also, it's harder to sell a business if its growth has been attached to a personal brand, which makes sense because you're not going along with the sale. You're likely gonna have to accept a discount on the sale price. But that said, your valuation is likely to be a lot higher because you use your personal brand to boost the profit. Then lastly, we'll talk about ego. If you're not conscious and careful, the likes, the followers, and the praise can get to your head. My advice, be grateful for the help that you get to give to others, not the praise you get from it. All right, now that you've been briefed and you're ready to start this journey, let's get into the steps to create a personal brand. Here's the high-level overview. Define your goals, niche down, choose your medium, know your voice, and then create helpful content while constantly improving over time. Let's start with defining your goals. What actually are you trying to do? Are you trying to get more eyeballs to your product or service? Or are you trying to attract leads for your acquisition business like Alex Hormozi? Whatever it is, write it down, make it your desktop wallpaper, I don't care. This isn't a hippie visualization technique. The reason is because analytic screens like this give you a huge dopamine hit and it's easy to lose track of your real business goals in lieu of vanity metrics like subscriber count. Next, you want to choose your niche niche within your niche. Remember, a personal brand is all about differentiating yourself. Gary Vee's niche is business and entrepreneurship, that's crystal clear. But within that realm, he's all about the hustle and being extremely direct. Conor McGregor, MMA fighter, but his brand is about showmanship, swagger, and making a lot of damn money. For myself, my niche SEO is wildly less exciting than MMA, but I differentiate myself with my data-backed approach to solving the Google algorithm. Next, you want to choose your communications medium. How will you communicate with your growing audience? Now, there's a few things to take into consideration here. First, what's your communication style? Are you great on video or do you prefer writing? Next, your medium needs to fit your audience. If your audience isn't on TikTok, then what are you doing there? This pyramid represents the different ways you can communicate. The higher we are towards the top, the higher the barrier to entry, but typically your audience will be more engaged. Towards the bottom is the opposite. Easier to enter, less engagement. That said, it doesn't mean that speaking at conferences is the best thing you can do with your time to build a personal brand. I'll rate each of these in a tier list soon. But no matter how you plan to communicate, you need to start with building a personal website. Otherwise, where are you going to send your leads? Or at the very least, elevate your audience to another level of engagement like an email list. By the way, here's a quick word from the sponsor of this video, Search Intelligence.
This campaign got us big links in websites such as Lifehacker, Wales Online, Daily Record, and about 20 other news websites. Let me show you how we've done it. We knew that people will be flying a lot this summer, and we knew that journalists will be writing about this topic a lot. So, on behalf of our client, we put together a nice guide about how to fall asleep on the plane. Then we use Muckrack to find journalists who write about travel. Then we put our advice in a nice email and send the tips to the journalists. Within just a few days, the links started landing, securing our client natural placements in really big websites, just like this, and this. This is a great example about how you can leverage seasonal trends to earn links to a website. Anticipate what journalists want to write about at all times and give them the stories that they need. They will reward you with some great, juicy links. I hope this is helpful.
Now back to the video. Let's start with conferences, which I'm sorry to say goes at the bottom at D tier. Conferences have a huge barrier to entry and they're good at generating businesses if and only if the attendees are customers. But most of the time, you'll be speaking to a room of your peers. In my case, people don't need SEO services if they're providing SEO services themselves. The worst part about conferences is the reach. You can spend a month preparing a nerve-wracking speech for 300 people, or you can spend a day producing a video that's gonna reach 10,000. Which brings me to the S tier medium, video. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. This is hands down the most effective medium today for building a personal brand. It has the best reach, you can repurpose video into social media posts or blog articles, your brand's moat is protected by video's intimidating barrier to entry, but best of all, the connection you make with your audience through video is unmatched. Check this out. Every few months I'll release a case study from my agency, The Search Initiative, on my blog. It'll get 5,000 views and generate leads at a 1 to 2% conversion rate. If I take the same case study and make a YouTube video of it, we're talking 30,000 views at a 2 to 3% conversion rate. That's 10 times the leads with the same amount of effort. Now you might be thinking, what if I'm not good on video? I'm an introvert. I'm a better writer than a talker. Well then, great. You're exactly like me. Script your videos like I do. Your words will be more intentional and you'll get a better result. Now, how do you get started with video? First things first, just fucking start. You need to get in your reps before you get better. Next, don't worry about equipment and production value. Hardly anyone's gonna watch your first videos anyways. After that, get on a regular posting schedule, and we'll get more into this later. I started publishing 1 video per week in January 2021. At the beginning, it was very slow going. But since then, I've had single videos reach over 700,000 people. You need to put in the reps. Now I could talk about YouTube all day, but it's beyond the scope of this video. Make sure to subscribe as I have more content coming out on how to build a YouTube channel coming up soon. The next medium we're gonna look at is audio at the B tier. And what we're talking about here is podcasting. You can either be on them as a guest or host them yourself. The podcast medium has great reach and also great engagement with the audience. Many people say that they feel more connected to podcasters even over video because of how casual and how authentic the conversation feels. If you love to talk free flow, then this is likely your medium. To start your own podcast, you need a microphone, and then once again, you just need a freaking start. The great thing about hosting a podcast is that you can get people with larger personal brands on your show for interviews, which you'll piggyback on to boost your own brand. On the other side of the coin, if you're invited to a podcast, then you're instantly exposed to their audience. The thing is, you need to start somewhere. You're not gonna get on Joe Rogan without building some cred first. But be proactive. Outreach to existing podcasts, telling them who you are and why what you're doing is interesting and where you've done podcasts before. It's ridiculously easy to get on podcasts once you get off your ass and try. Next, we're gonna get into the medium of writing. And this is broken down into both social media as well as blogging. We'll look at each individually. Social media marketing is a C-tier medium. The reach is good and the engagement and trust you create is okay, but it makes up for that with how easy and scalable social media is. If you write an engaging tweet, you also just wrote content for LinkedIn, Facebook, as well as the often slept on YouTube community. You can and should also repurpose your video content and the questions you get on podcasts into social media posts. To start on social media, you want to genuinely help people on the platforms you're trying to grow on. Whether that's assisting people in Facebook groups or replying to Twitter threads like this with helpful comments, the idea is the same. By the way, here was a reply to that tweet. The last line is pretty spot on to what we've been talking about, isn't it? The point is to build trust with people on these platforms so they eventually start paying attention to the posts on your personal feed. Next, we have blogging, which I hate to say is also a D-tier medium. It's not useless, it's just that no one reads anymore. When was the last time you read an article from top to bottom, no skipping? The engagement is low and the reach isn't how it was in the good old days. Here's the final rankings of the various mediums to communicate on. Notice how there's no A tier. That's simply because video is so far out ahead of the others. Now, before we get into what you're actually going to be communicating about, let's talk about your voice, your vibe. How do you like to communicate? Are you funny? Great, get funnier. Are you a knowledge bomb dropping wisdom machine? Great, drop more bombs. What I can say for sure is to be authentic. Being something you're not is exhausting, and the fakeness is going to hold you back from connecting with your audience. Also, think about your branding. What are you all about? What do you believe in? For me, I believe in 100% integrity, always doing what you say you're going to do. I also have zero tolerance for people being unpleasant to others, which is how you get a quick boot from my community. I also refuse to participate in any negativity on the internet, even when that negativity is at my expense. What's the result? People associate my brand with positive experience. Okay, so what the hell are you supposed to be sharing? It's time to start producing content. Ultimately, the goal is to help others. Share your knowledge, share case studies where people can learn from your successes, and address problem areas that the community has. You can poll your community for these ideas and give them exactly what they want. But overall, the idea is to give genuine value. How much should you post? It depends on the medium. Ideally, you want a map as much as possible. But here's some minimums. YouTube long-form content, at least once per week. Short-form video, 3 times per week. Podcasting, try to have a weekly podcast or aim to be on 1 podcast per week. And social media, at the bare minimum, post 3 times per week. The more you engage, the more you'll grow, but more importantly, the faster you'll get better at it. The first year is solely about finding your voice. It took Alex Hormozy 5 years to hit top 10 in entrepreneurial podcasts. And just look at him now. Next, how do you know if you're doing a good job? You need to monitor your progress, but you need to know what exactly to monitor. Let me start with what not to monitor. Subscribers, followers, likes, and shares. These are all vanity metrics. They're the dopamine hits that distract you from your overall goal. Instead, you want to look at engagement. With video, how long are people sticking around and watching your content? YouTube Studio gives you tons of metrics like this. With podcasts, how many downloads are you getting? With social media, how many people are viewing your posts? Also, how many people are enjoying your content? Are you getting feedback on how your content is helping others? Are you getting more direct video and social traffic back to your personal or business website? But most importantly, are you getting closer to your real business goals? Are you doing more business? Are you generating more leads? Are you making more sales? Now, how do you speed up this process? What can you do to go into hyperdrive? Put lead magnets on your website that will collect email addresses. Once you get somebody on your list, you'll periodically share your new content with them, which feeds those YouTube, Twitter, and podcast algorithms, allowing you to reach even more people. As you've clearly learned by now, I truly believe that YouTube is the most effective platform. But of course, mastering YouTube is well beyond the scope of this video. Make sure to subscribe because I have more content coming out on it in the near future.